Hello and welcome to the first video of the series. Focus here will be on art from ancient Mesopotamia. If you have been watching the previous series on rock art, please note that I do plan to create additional videos on the regions I have not yet covered, such as Australia and the Americas. For now, I am moving away from rock art traditions to look at Bronze Age art from the historical period. This video will focus on art of ancient Sumer, the first civilization to develop in Mesopotamia. Mesopotamia refers to an ancient area of settlement between the Tigris and the Euphrates rivers, in a region that roughly corresponds to modern-day Iraq. The word itself translates from Greek to mean the land between two rivers. A broader geographical setting includes regions in modern-day Iran, Turkey, Syria, and Kuwait. Early developments in the Neolithic Revolution are attributed to this area, such as agriculture, and it is viewed as the cradle of civilization for many early cultures. These include the Sumerians, the Akkadians, the Assyrians, and the Babylonians. In this region, early human societies began to move from stone to Bronze Age tool technologies. The development of a writing system known as cuneiform also occurred, which arose simultaneously to hieroglyphics used by the ancient Egyptian civilization. Other ancient civilizations that developed writing systems early on include cultures found in the Americas, which I do plan to cover in future videos. Sumer is seen as the oldest known civilization from Mesopotamia, with its origins dated to between 6th and 5th millennium BCE. Other early civilizations are found in ancient Egypt, the Indus Valley in South Asia, the Yellow River Valley in China, and in Mesoamerica. In ancient Sumer, the fertility of the region allowed for settlement and subsequent urbanization, which is believed to have occurred between 5500 to 3300 BCE. Sumer was not a unified nation, but rather comprised of independent city-states, each having a temple dedicated to a god or goddess associated with the city-state. Among the more well-known city-states was Uruk and Ur. Society began to shift from solely agricultural activities, and the resulting specialization of labor that occurred allowed for the development of activities such as trade, manufacturing, and administration. A strong socio-political organization developed in the city-states, including the building of public buildings, irrigation systems, and an organized military to defend the community. Many artworks reflect the importance of warfare, conquest, and military success as themes. Art from ancient Sumer is characterized by lavish ornamentation and intricate detail, achieved by inlaying materials such as metals, shells, and semi-precious stones such as lapis lazuli. Due to the climate and geography of this region, many materials are sourced from elsewhere, such as regions in modern-day India and Afghanistan. Stone, being scarce, was mostly utilized in sculpture. It was imported from various outside areas, giving the resulting sculptural pieces a more varied look when compared to the sculpture being produced in ancient Egypt around the same time. Clay, being more abundant, was more commonly used, especially for cuneiform tablets. This cuneiform writing system begins to develop by about 3100 BCE, and in turn allowed for a better identification of phases in artistic and cultural development by a historian. Clay was also used for painted pottery vessels, which are grouped based on the sites they were found at, reflecting the early settlements in the area. Designs consist of mono or polychrome zones filled in with geometric patterns similar to fabric. Pottery from the Hasuna-Samara period shows animal, bird, and human figures, most likely linked to early religious beliefs, although the exact meaning of this symbolism has been lost. Religion and state are important themes appearing in art. A hierarchical priesthood system existed that had considerable authority. Architectural structures and sculpture were religious in nature, with many sculptures being produced in terracotta clay due to the availability of this material over other materials like wood and in some areas stone. The use of engraved cylinder seals that were rolled onto wet clay is also a characteristic of Sumerian art. These mostly featured imagery from mythology, religious beliefs, daily life, and royal rituals, although during some periods of Sumerian art patterns or animals were depicted. In some instances, associations have been made to the Epic of Gilgamesh, one of the oldest surviving narrative tales in the world. These cylinder seals were made for administrative and economic activities and functioned as official marks and signs of ownership. They were often made from small precious stones like lapis lazuli, alabaster, and serpentine, and engraved with written characteristics, figurative scenes, or a combination of both. Sculpture was associated with temples, with many statues being votive in function. This is indicated by inscriptions invoking prayers on these statues. Figures also indicate religious function through the body pose. For example, male figures are often standing or sitting with hands clasped in prayer. They are clothed in woolen skirts woven to suggest petals, and have long hair and bearded faces. Bearded faces often appear in Sumerian art and are associated with wisdom. Two successive sculptural styles are identified, the first showing a preference for geometric simplification, while the second moves more towards naturalism and even portraiture. The use of naturalism in sculpture is seen in the work known as the Ram in a Thicket, comprising a pair of sculptural goats dated between 2600 and 2400 BCE. They were found in the tomb belonging possibly to Mesh-an-Pada, a king of the first dynasty of Ur, although this is not certain. Along with other valuable items, numerous human remains were also found in this tomb, belonging to servants and guards that would accompany the king into the afterlife. The goat sculptures were found almost crushed flat due to the weight of the soil compressing the sculpture after the inner wooden core had decomposed. They have been reconstructed and are now on display in two different museums, one in London and the other one in Philadelphia. Each goat holds a stylized tree, as if caught in a thicket of shrubbery. The plant as well as the head and legs of the goats are adorned with gold leaf, and attached to a wooden structure with bitumen. Copper is used in the ears and silver plating for the stomach area. The fleece and horns are adorned with shells, lapis lazuli, and while red limestone is used in the base. They may have had religious significance, possibly used in temple ceremonies as offerings and gifts to the gods, in particular the goddess Inanna, a goddess of love and war. They were mostly likely placed together with bowls placed on top of small stands found on their head. Also dating from 2600 BCE and found in a royal burial in a cemetery in Ur were musical instruments, including one known as the Sumerian queen's lyre. Its design includes a finely made bull's head, symbolic of strength and fertility, with eyes, hair, and beard made from lapis lazuli. The body is made from wood and is adorned with inlays of lapis lazuli, shell, and red limestone, similar to the Ram in the Thicket sculptures. It too was found in a deteriorated state and had to be restored. Other lyres and a harp were also found, including the golden lyre of Ur, or the bull's lyre, in which the entire bull's head is made from gold. Its eyes are inlaid with lapis lazuli and nacre, the iridescent internal layer found in shells. Another lyre, the bull-headed lyre, included a decorated front panel on the sound box under the bull's head. On this panel are horizontal bands or registers showing images made from shell inlay and bitumen, possibly depicting funerary rites. These include images of animals engaged in human activities such as carrying items and playing musical instruments. The silver lyre is part of a pair of lyres that were constructed out of wood covered in sheets of silver attached to small nails. Lapis lazuli is used for the eyes and for the narrow border trimming. The face of the bull is not bearded, making some of it believe it is of a cow and not a bull. These lyres are some of the earliest known stringed instruments to be found, and suggest the importance of music to the culture. Some of the lyres were found among female skeletal remains, with one figure appearing to play the strings. This is suggestive of the ceremonial function of the lyre in the burial ceremony. The lyre also features in the Standard of Ur, dated to 2600 BCE. This is a hollow wooden box with inlaid mosaics on its sides depicting scenes of warfare and of peace. It was found in a royal tomb next to the remains of a ritually sacrificed individual who may have been connected to the artifact. This person appeared to be wearing a cap made of tiny lapis lazuli beads as well as a shell cylinder seal with a name engraved on it, and may have held onto the pole attached to the box. The actual function of this item is unclear, but was initially interpreted as a type of military standard placed on display at ceremonies due to how it was positioned when found. The panels on the box are created from lapis lazuli, red limestone, shell, and bitumen. One side shows scenes of peace, in particular a banquet scene. This includes an image of the king, shown larger than the other figures. This is a convention known as hieratic scale, used to indicate imported figures. He sits facing 6 guests sitting on stools drinking from cups. Behind them stands a lyre player and a singer. The lyre player holds a lyre very similar to those found in the tomb of Ur. These two figures are the subject of the painting I'm doing here. Other imageries in the scenes show figures carrying items associated with a feast or parading animals, or to possibly emphasize abundance and the generosity of the king. An alternative interpretation suggests that the items presented to the king may have been the spoils of war, represented by the other side of the box. The war side shows a Sumerian army along with the figure, most likely the king, standing taller than the other figures. He is a retinue in a wagon or chariot drawn by what could be a kunga, or a hybrid draft animal from the equine family that was used before the introductions of horses in the 2nd millennium BC. In front of him are naked, bound, injured prisoners. Other registers show soldiers in battle, captured enemies, and wagons with riders and warriors, with some showing enemies being trampled underfoot. Detailed attention is given to the wagons, harnesses, cloaks, helmets, and weapons. The wagon scene also progresses from walking to galloping to convey movement. The two side panels also show scenes that relate to the war and peace theme, although the mosaics are damaged and interpretation is thus unclear. The war side begins with an image of a ram feeding on a tree, a common image in Sumerian art and may symbolize Sumer itself. The ram is then threatened with being attacked, possibly by an Akkadian enemy. The final scene shows a tree flanked by a lion-headed eagle and Anzud, a symbol of war, who attacks a man-headed bull, possibly symbolizing Sumer. The peace side shows flowering plants, possibly symbols of Sumer, a ram being stalked by a leopard, and then the ram free from danger standing on a hill that also serves as the attachment area for the wooden box to a pole. Stone relief sculpture, in the form of plaques attached to temple walls, also depicts scenes in registers or horizontal bands. Subject matter is commemorative, with imagery being standardized in stylistic traits, making many plaques from different sites appear similar. Fragments of commemorative columns known as stelae have also been found, with military victories and religion being the subject matter referenced. As with the standard of important figures such as leaders and deities feature indicated by scaled hierarchies. Narrative presented in horizontal registers is also found on the Vaka vase. This is made from carved alabaster and was found in a temple complex dedicated to the goddess Inanna, who appears on the apex of the vase. It dates to 3200 to 3000 BCE and is regarded as one of the earliest examples of narrative reliefs in sculpture found so far. Scenes include agricultural abundance, fertility, and prosperity, with images of date palms, wheat, barley, water, and livestock, along with figures carrying baskets of food items for offerings to the gods. Due to the dry climatic conditions of the area, fertility was an important aspect of the religious beliefs and is often found in the artwork produced. The art from ancient Sumer established pictorial conventions that will continue to appear in art after these civilizations fell. These include dividing the format into successive horizontal rows or registers, indicating important figures by increasing the scale, and placing figures on a common ground line. While military accomplishments was an important theme in Sumerian art, the Sumerian city-states would eventually fall to King Sargon of Akkad in 2334 BCE. It would re-establish itself briefly with the third dynasty of a period historians refer to as the Neo-Sumerian period, only to be replaced by the Old Babylonian Empire. If you wish to follow this artistic journey, please subscribe, like, and leave a comment. As always, thanks for watching and take care.